Top of the morning to you. This is Irish Old Professor. Over the next coming weeks, Professor TV will be screening the winning entries from the 2012 Nouveau Retro Short Film Competition, which was hosted by Con9 from Outer Space and held in Victoria. It was a back-to-basic science fiction convention with SF from the 1950s as its main focus. And now, the winning entry, Tentacle Beast from Beyond, by Rob Hamilton. Thank you. This has been Irish Old Professor.
Cole, did you hurt yourself? And for tonight's entertaining movie, it is The Wasp Woman. But firstly, we're going to have a visit with our horror host, Tom. the Professor again, with another person from the horror host, Tom. And tonight, a host that may be familiar to many you Australians, Shane Porteous, also as Deadly Ernest.
The fourth known Australian horror host was Shane Porteous. He was one of 5 different actors to play Deadly Ernest in Australia. The Deadly Ernest character was originated in Western Australia's TVW7. Porteous' show aired during 1967 to 1968 on TVQ All Brisbane. Porteous' first television appearance was as Deadly Ernest. Within a short time, he left the show and journeyed to Sydney to continue his career. He appeared in many shows including Contrabandeds, Number 96, Catch Candy, Homicide, and his most notable show being A Country Practice as Dr. Terence Elliott, and starred in over 900 episodes. Porteous' last appearance was in the 2011 movie Codgers. No known footage is available of his Deadly Ernest character. Only a few stills exist, including one where his replacement, Professor Macabre, is pictured killing him off. And now, with thanks to Garfield Barnard, a clip from the 2011 Shockley Horror Picture Show, where host Nigel Honeybone interviews Shane Porteous.
And welcome back to the Schlocky Horror Picture Show and The Corpse Vanishes, which pretty much describes tonight's audience. The rest of you lucky survivors will envy the dead when I tell you I have waiting on the line Mr. Shane Porteous, who played horror host Deadly Ernest in Brisbane in 1968. Yes, this is the same gentleman who starred in the long-running soapy A Country Practice as Kindly Dr. Elliot. And you thought he was such a nice doctor, but just like Dr. Jekyll, he could turn into Mr. Hyde at the drop of a hat. Since then, Shane has kept the Deadly Ernest tradition alive by occasionally killing off characters and neighbours. Mr. Porteous, are you there?
Not really, though.
Thank you for joining me here tonight on the Schlocky Horror Picture Show. Now, tell me, how on earth did you end up with a plum roll like Deadly Ernest?
It came about, I was approached by Channel O, now, up in Brisbane. I'd made a bit of a small-time amateur career at that stage playing villains on stage. I played Caliban in The Tempest, and I played the man who turned into a rhinoceros in Rhinoceros, and I was doing theatre restaurant playing the villain in The Drunkard. And so I had a bit of, and I loved doing my own makeup. I used to did that on stage for all sorts of shows. And Channel O approached me that already had the Deadly Ernest in Sydney and in Melbourne, and because, of course, it wasn't networked in those days, every capital city had its own version of Deadly Ernest, so they asked me if I would do it. And they gave me a pretty open brief, and I decided that what I wanted was part vampire, part zombie who walked like Frankenstein's monster. So I sort of based it a bit on Boris Karloff, but also Alfred Hitchcock's television show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, was very popular then. So I sort of borrowed a bit of his voice, and I had to make my mouth sort of a bit more Frankenstein monster. I had cotton wool padding inside my lips long before Brando thought of the idea. And so I adopted a sort of a Hitchcock voice with a bit of Boris Karloff thrown in, and that was the character I did. But during and he was dressed, and he emerged from a coffin every night. That was the important thing. But having said that, we also did a few send-ups of other shows that were popular at the time, like the Dean Martin show was very popular, and and his theme song was "Everybody Loves Somebody Sometime." Everybody loves somebody sometime. Everybody falls in love somehow. Your love worth waiting for someone like you. So, Deadly was one night, which was one of our most successful shows. I had Wilbur Kentwall, who was a famous organist and pianist who worked on the ABC and on all sorts of shows all over Australia. He was probably the best known organist in Australia. And he was even then, I'm talking about 1968 or 67, 68, was very old. But he sort of came into the joke. We had a big baby grand from Channel O in the studio. And so Deadly Ernest's introduction for that night was, everybody loves a body sometime. Everybody loves a corpse somehow. Your blood may be well worth bottling, but I'd rather drink it now.
I thought we agreed before the show, Shane. No singing. Another problem with working for community TV is that I have to do my own makeup. But your makeup with the droopy eye looked rather elaborate for 1970. Did it take long for you to apply the makeup?
About half an hour. If I was running late, 20 minutes. The droopy eye was actually an optical illusion. If I can remember correctly, I blacked out most of around the right eye and whited out the top of that eye, and most of the time kept a slightly cocked eyebrow there. So the visual contrast of the blacked out area and the white around that one made this eye look as though it was drooping.
Did Channel Zilch, allow you to go out in public dressed like that? I mean to say, did you make any appearances as Deadly Ernest outside of your own television show?
And I was doing a schools tour of doing one-act plays that were set in that year's school syllabus, and I thought, and there was one particular play which is terrible, a really terrible old play, and we decided that anything goes, wherever we can get a laugh, fine. So I decided to play it as Deadly Ernest, and so the first time I did it, I came along, staggered along, Deadly Ernest, good evening, I'm Deadly Ernest, and there was dead silence. And I had to go through the whole play playing Deadly Ernest to utter silent confusion in the audience. It was a boarding school where kids weren't allowed to watch television, and they had no idea who Deadly Ernest was or what I was relating to. So that was the last time I ever made a public appearance as Deadly Ernest, and I can't do it.
Did you ever get any fan mail saying what a complete bastard you were? I get those sorts of letters all the time. I think it's because Alan Jones has his post office box next to mine.
I didn't do it for all that long, and I think there were only did a dozen shows, and it could be a bit more. I'm not sure. No, I can't remember, because then I left Brisbane to come down to Sydney and try to make a living as a real actor, and so the fan base didn't build up the way it did, I think, with the Deadly Ernest in Sydney and Melbourne. But we certainly did get a bit of feedback. Most of them hated the movie. I mean, because we called them, welcome, this Deadly Ernest, welcome to tonight's frightful movie. And they were, as often as not, frightful. And we had a lot of complaints saying, you really think that was scary? That's scary. My little sister scares me more than that film. And and sometimes I think we read, there were a couple of sort of more interesting complaints that we read on air, that I read on air. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was anywhere near the big deal it was in Sydney and Melbourne.
Your series didn't go for very long, only for about 3 or 4 months back in 1968. What happened then?
I left Brisbane and went to Sydney. Now, because the Saturday show, the kids show was fairly successful, they were happy to fly me up every week for a while just to do the Saturday show. but the Deadly Earnest, because they only had a time slot that they could record that on Thursday, they weren't going to fly me up to do that. So I was replaced by John Dobbett again, playing a character called Professor Macabre. And I can't remember his voice. I would try to imitate it if I could. But he was a... And I don't think I ever saw his set or anything, but I think there is a photograph of Professor Macabre killing off Deadly Earnest, never to appear again.
Do you still keep in contact with any of the people that you worked with back at Channel O? I'm still being stalked by people I met back in the 1920s, although some people call that haunting.
Not really, though. I did... our director, both for the Deadly Earnest segments and for the Saturday show, was Mike Murphy. And I left in '68, and I didn't see Mike until we started making A Country Practice in 1982. And Mike Murphy turned up as the drummer, as director on that. He directed a few of the early Country Practice shows. And then later, only a couple of years ago, I ran into him again down at Fremantle Media, like Neighbours, down there for a seminar on Neighbours. And Mike Murphy was there, who's went on to become a high-ranking international executive on Fremantle Media.
Were you able to keep any of Deadly's costumes as a memento of your time on the show?
No, I don't think any of it. I think I borrowed some of it from the various theatre companies I worked with, and none of it was ever mine. I don't think any of it was ever Channel O's either. I think I borrowed it from the theatre companies and wore it up there. I'd love to have kept the top hat.
For the last 4 decades, you've still been in the limelight, so to speak, with many Hector Crawford productions in the 70s, A Country Practice in the 80s, and Neighbours in the 90s. What have you been doing recently?
Well, at the moment, I'm involved in a touring play called Codgers, which is touring New South Wales and Victoria and Tasmania. So if you get a chance to pop along and see that, do so. It's a very funny play and a very warm play. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for, Shane. These live satellite interviews are far more costly than we can afford here on Community TV. Thank you again for being my guest here tonight on the Schlocky Horror Picture Show.
It's been a pleasure. Does that mean that I'm going to be beamed up out of here on this cable television thing? I don't understand all this technology. I'm very old, you see, like several thousand years old. Good night, Nigel. I love your show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shane Porteous. Wow, what a nice guy. Out of his bloody mind, though.
And now, I'd like to tell you about tonight's movie.
Supposing a more powerful form of royal jelly could be obtained. From the queen wasp, for example.
Socially, the queen wasp is on a level with the black widow spider. Oh, no. There might be danger.
Those are my terms, Mr. Sintra. Janice Starlin will be your next guinea pig.
A woman of fantastic desires, sponsoring a scientist with fantastic theories, and demanding fantastic results.
How old do I look? Tell me! How old? 23.
The enzymes, they're going crazy. Miss Darling will kill her and tear her body to shreds.
Film Group Presentations produced The Wasp Woman in 1959. Susan Cabot stars as Janet Starling, the Wasp Woman. Cabot began her acting career in 1947, appearing uncredited in The Kiss of Death. She went on to appear in 18 other movies, including The Saga of the Viking Women and Their Voyage to the Waters of the Great Sea Serpent. Whew, what a mouthful. In 1959, she also had a highly publicized fling with Jordan's King Hussein. 1970 saw her last TV appearance, which was on the television series Bracken's World. She continued working on stage shows and musicals. But in 1986, she was tragically murdered by her son. The Wasp Woman revolves around Janet Starling, who is the owner of a cosmetic company. She is greatly concerned by her fading beauty. She meets Eric Zintrop, who tells her that he can help using a serum made from wasp enzymes. Agreeing to be his first subject, her beauty slowly returns, but people around her notice changes in her personality. Zintrop is injured in an accident, so is unable to continue to administer the serum. Janice slowly becomes a wasp-type creature. Damn it, Janice! Just the type of gal you want to bring home to meet the folks.
Oh, better ring Chuck.
You gotta wait until I cook it. You gotta wait until I cook it. You gotta wait till on your plate. You gotta wait.
Yes, Chuck, it was me this time. Play the movie.
I don't think I'm able. I wanna see some food on top of the table. Give me pancakes and syrup made of maple, or maybe a scoop of soup from the ladle.
You gotta wait